Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly attract everything they want while others struggle endlessly? It's not about luck or chance. It's about how we think and feel, and how we use those thoughts and feelings to shape our reality. I'm going to share with you why you can have anything you want if you understand and apply a few simple principles. Let's start by understanding why many people struggle to get out of bed in the morning. It's not because they're lazy or lack motivation. The real reason often has to do with how predictable and routine their days have become. Let me explain this further. When people wake up and know exactly what their day will be like, it can make getting out of bed feel like a chore. If every day feels the same with the same tasks, the same people, and the same experiences, it can start to feel monotonous. Our bodies and minds become accustomed to these repetitive patterns, and as a result, it can be hard to muster the energy to get moving. It's like living on autopilot, where everything feels automatic and unexciting. Now think back to when you were a child and had a special event, like a field trip planned. Remember how excited you felt? You probably woke up early that day, full of energy and anticipation. You were eager for what the day would bring because you expected something new and different. The thought of going on a field trip, seeing new places, and experiencing new things made you feel alive and energized. That excitement is a key point. When you anticipate something new and exciting, it fuels your energy and motivation. The same principle can apply to your everyday life. If you can infuse a sense of anticipation and excitement into your daily routine, it can transform how you feel about getting out of bed and starting your day. Think about it this way. When you wake up each morning with a sense of curiosity and excitement about what might happen, you are much more likely to feel motivated to get out of bed. It's not just about having a big event to look forward to. It's about shifting your mindset to expect something good, new, or different each day. You can create this sense of excitement and anticipation even if you're facing a routine day. Start by setting small goals or intentions for yourself. These goals don't have to be grand. They just need to be meaningful to you. Maybe it's trying a new recipe for dinner, starting a new hobby, or simply planning a fun activity for the evening. The key is to give yourself something to look forward to. This is the mindset we need to cultivate in our daily lives. We need to wake up each morning with the anticipation of the unexpected. We need to approach each day with a sense of wonder and excitement. When we do this, we are aligning ourselves with a state of possibility and abundance, and this opens the door to remarkable experiences. Now, let's dive into how you can truly make this work in your life. It all starts with understanding how your thoughts and feelings create your reality. When you sit down to meditate, the goal is to change your state of being. If you end your meditation feeling exactly the same way as when you started, nothing has really shifted. Real change happens when you rise from meditation with a new sense of self, an elevated feeling in your heart, and a clear vision of your future. When you are in this elevated state, you are broadcasting a new electromagnetic signature into the field. Your thoughts are electric and your feelings are magnetic. Together, they create a powerful signal that influences the field around you. What you broadcast is your potential reality. This is why it's so crucial to manage your state of being throughout the day. If you find yourself reacting emotionally to the same old situations, you are simply reinforcing the past. Instead, when you notice yourself slipping, take a moment to realign. Raise your energy, adjust your mindset, and step back into your life with renewed purpose. When we practice things like meditation, we're really preparing ourselves for a new way of living. It's like doing a dry run or rehearsal for a new role you want to play. Let me explain how this works in simple terms. Imagine you have a goal or a dream. Maybe you want to start a new career, improve your health, or build a happy relationship. To make this dream come true, you need to visualize what that outcome looks like. During meditation, you focus on this vision and imagine it in detail. You picture yourself already living the life you want. You can see the places, feel the emotions, and experience the success in your mind. When you do this, something interesting happens in your brain. Your brain doesn't just store information from your past, it can also change and adapt to support your future goals. This is because your brain is very flexible. It can build new connections and pathways based on what you're thinking and feeling. So when you immerse yourself in the feeling of having already achieved your goal, your brain starts to rewire itself to align with this new vision. It's like your brain is updating its map to guide you toward this new future. Instead of just reflecting your past experiences, your brain becomes a guide for where you want to go. Here's a simple way to think about it. If you've ever driven to a new destination using a GPS, you know that the GPS needs to update its route based on where you want to go. Your brain works in a similar way. When you focus on a new vision and imagine yourself achieving it, your brain updates its internal map to help you reach that destination. This process is called mental rehearsal. During mental rehearsal, you're training your brain to support your new goals. By repeatedly envisioning your desired outcome and feeling the emotions associated with it, you're strengthening the neural connections in your brain that support this new vision. This means your brain is becoming more prepared to help you achieve your goals. Think of it as setting a new habit. Just like practicing a skill repeatedly helps you get better at it, mental rehearsal helps your brain get better at creating the future you want. Over time, these new neural circuits become stronger and more effective, making it easier for you to move toward your goals. One effective way to harness this power is by getting up early. Early morning is a time when your brain is in a state between sleep and wakefulness, in a state where it's more receptive to change. This is when the door between your conscious and subconscious mind is open. Use this time to invest in yourself, to connect with your intentions and align with the energy you want to cultivate. As you go through your day, check in with yourself. Assess how you are feeling and how you are responding to different situations. If you notice that you have fallen out of alignment, take a moment to recalibrate. This practice of realigning and adjusting will help you become less frustrated and more in control of your emotions. When you take time at the end of the day to reflect on how you did, ask yourself questions. How did I respond to challenges? What could I have done differently? This reflection helps you to continuously improve and adapt. It's about rehearsing new ways of being and behaving so that when similar situations arise, you can handle them more effectively. This is known as neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. To achieve the life you want, it's essential to align your feelings with your intentions. Simply put, if you want to create something amazing in your life, you must start by feeling amazing. Let me break this down for you in a way that's easy to understand. Imagine you have a goal or a dream. Maybe you want to start a new business, improve your health, or build a loving relationship. This goal is your intention. It's something you want to achieve. But here's the key. It's not enough just to have this intention. You need to make sure your feelings match what you want. For example, if you want to build a successful business, you need to feel confident, excited, and optimistic about it. If you feel doubt, fear, or negativity, it will be much harder to achieve your goal. Your feelings play a crucial role in how effectively you can turn your intentions into reality. Let's say you're trying to get fit and healthy. Your intention is to be in great shape. To make this happen, you need to feel enthusiastic about exercising and eating well. If you feel motivated and positive about these activities, you'll be more likely to stick with them and see results. But if you feel lazy or discouraged, it becomes much harder to reach your fitness goals. The process of aligning your feelings with your intentions involves practice. It's about training yourself to feel the way you want to feel as you work towards your goals. The more you practice this alignment, the more natural it becomes. Over time, it gets easier to maintain those positive feelings, and this makes it easier to achieve your goals. As you continue this practice, you'll start to notice something interesting happening. You might experience what are called synchronicities and serendipitous events. These are moments when things seem to fall into place perfectly, almost as if by chance. For example, you might run into someone who can help you with your business idea just when you need it most. Or you might find a new exercise routine that you love and that helps you get fit quickly. These synchronicities are signs that the universe or the field around you is responding to your new state of being. They show that your positive feelings and intentions are creating a ripple effect in your life. The more you align your feelings with your intentions, the more these kinds of lucky coincidences and helpful situations will appear. Think of it like this: your feelings are like a signal you're sending out into the world. When this signal is strong and positive, it attracts similar energy and opportunities back to you. If you are constantly feeling good about your goals and intentions, you are sending out a clear and powerful signal that draws in the things you want. In my own life, I've learned that it's not about the specific events or experiences I wanted to create. What truly mattered was the transformation within me. When I reached a point where I no longer cared about the outcome, that's when things started to happen. It's about changing who you are at a fundamental level. You are not just creating a new future. You are evolving into a new version of yourself. Every experience you have is an opportunity to redefine yourself and your potential. By continuously connecting with this new self, you begin to live a life filled with those awe-inspiring, life-changing moments. If you want to achieve your goals and get what you want out of life, it all starts with changing how you think and feel. Your thoughts and feelings play a big role in shaping your reality. Here's a simple way to start making those changes. Begin by using the early morning to set yourself up for success. The morning is a powerful time because your mind is still fresh and calm. Take some time to connect with your intentions. What do you want to achieve? What kind of life do you want to create? Spend a few quiet moments visualizing your goals and imagining how it feels to already have achieved them. This practice, known as mental rehearsal, helps to prepare your mind and body for success. When you practice mental rehearsal, you're essentially training your brain to align with your goals. By vividly imagining your desired outcomes and feeling the emotions associated with them, you're helping your brain build new pathways that support your goals. This makes it easier for you to act in ways that bring those goals to reality. As you go through your day, make sure to keep your energy aligned with your intentions. This means staying focused on your goals and maintaining a positive attitude. Whenever you encounter challenges or distractions, remind yourself of your vision and why it's important to you. If you find yourself feeling off track or negative, take a moment to center yourself and get back into the right mindset. You have the power to create anything you want. It's not about waiting for the right moment or for external conditions to change. It's about transforming your inner state and allowing that transformation to reflect in your outer world. Regulating, it starts beating like a drum and it starts to produce a measurable magnetic field. It's up to 3 meters wide. Now that energy is a frequency, and that frequency can carry information, and that information is your thought, is your intent. In other words, the elevated emotional gratitude can carry the thought of your health. The emotion of suffering cannot carry the thought of your health. It carries a different set of thoughts, so you can think positively all you want. And if you're feeling miserable, your mind and body are in opposition. So we teach people how to put these two coherent signatures together. The thought sending the signal out, the feeling drawing the event back. But the more coherent, the more organized the signal, the more connection you have to the field. So coherence is a synchronization. As an example, when people are under the gun of the fight or flight nervous system, they're living by the hormones of stress. The arousal of those chemicals drives the brain into a faster brain frequency called high beta brain waves. In high beta, the arousal, you're in survival. What you're trying to do now is control and predict everything in your life. And so you start thinking about your boss, your coworker, your boyfriend. You start thinking about the groceries, start thinking about where you have to go, all the things you have to do, your finances, and every one of those things, elements, people, places, has a neurological network in your brain. The latest research in neuroplasticity tells us we're not hardwired to be a certain way for the rest of our lives. The latest research in epigenetics says we're not doomed by our genes, that in fact we're marvels of adaptability and change. So as a person started to contemplate and think about who do I want to be when I open my eyes, what would it be like to be happy? What would it be like to live a new life? The frontal lobe is looking out into the landscape of the entire brain because it has connections to the entire neocortex, and it's got to resolve the problem. So it starts calling up different networks of neurons that are relevant to the question based on the knowledge the person learns or the experiences that they had in it. Begins to seamlessly piece together this new understanding, and that's called intention. And so if you're reading a book about how to become more happy, or if you're reading a book on how to be a leader in your life, or you're studying the process, every time you learn something new, you add new connections to your brains and raw materials for you to imagine even more. The act of mentally rehearsing begins to install the neurological hardware in your brain to look like it's already happened. Now, the brain is typically a record of the past, but the moment we install the neurological hardware, it becomes a map to the future. And you keep doing that, the hardware becomes a software program, which means you start thinking like a genius. You start acting like a happy person because there's no mystery there because you installed the circuits. And then these people didn't wait for their wealth or their health to feel gratitude and to feel empowered or to feel love, a love for life. They began to feel those emotions ahead of the experience, and their body is, the unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between the experience and their life that creates the emotion and their emotion that they're creating by thought alone. The body's believing it's living in the future in the present moment, and the stronger the emotion that they felt, the more they're going to pay attention to the thoughts they're creating. And now all of a sudden they're changing their biology from living in the past-present reality to living in the future-present reality. And I was so intrigued by this process that I went back to school to study neuroscience because it was the answer in the internal process of rehearsing and imagining. They had long moments where they lost track of time and space, where when they opened their eyes, they thought it was maybe 15, 20 minutes later, and it was an hour and 15 minutes later. When we get into the present moment, there's a moment where you lose track of yourself. You forget about yourself, and only in the present moment do you have access, according to the quantum model of reality, to other possibilities. Just close your eyes and pay attention to compassion. The moment they did that, all of a sudden, the frontal lobe lit up so much that the scientists had never seen that type of activity in that part of the brain. Now, then they took the control group and they said, all right, you guys, pay attention to one thing. And of course, what happened? My back hurts. How long is this gonna take? I don't really want to do this. Am I doing it right? I wonder what my kid's doing. I gotta buy dinner, all that stuff. And guess what happened to their frontal lobe? Meh, nothing. Now, in one particular monk, there's a part of the frontal lobe on the left side, which is really the happy spot in the brain. And this guy's left frontal lobe was so ignited that the scientists said, this guy's got to be the happiest guy in the world. They'd never seen activity like this before. But then the scientists began to think about this, and what they said was, maybe paying attention and concentration and observation is a skill, just like tennis or golf. And you can improve it if you keep practicing it. Now think about this. The brain is the instrument that we use. It's the machinery for us to process thought. How many people will accept that? And it also has some automatic processes that allow us to function. But for the most part, it's the greatest area in the body where there's the greatest number of neurons clustered together. And where you have the greatest number of neurons clustered together, you have the greatest intelligence. So the brain is the central clearinghouse of intelligence. Mind, by the way, is what the brain does. Mind is the brain in action. It's the brain at work. When we can measure a working brain, we're studying mind. So mind is when the brain is in action. So when we're using functional brain scans and we're studying how the brain works, we're studying this concept called mind. Then here's my question. If the brain is the instrument for intelligence or processing thought, and mind is what the brain does, if you can improve the way your brain works, who's doing the improving? And it's that nasty 13-letter word called consciousness. That's the only solution. Consciousnesses are self-aware, free-willed individual that is really not the body, is not the brain, and is not the mind. As a matter of fact, consciousness is what manipulates the brain to produce mind. The brain processes 400 billion bits of information every second. But we're only aware of about 2,000 of those 400 billion bits of information. And you know what those 2,000 bits of information have to do with? 3 things and only 3 things. The body, the environment, and time. That's it. You know, does your back hurt? Do you have a headache? Are you tired? Is it too cold in here? Is it too bright in here? Is it too dark in here? Do you like the way the person smells sitting next to you? Do you even like the person next to you? How long is this guy gonna talk before we can break? And that's where all of our self-awareness is on. It's only on the body, the environment, and time. And yet billions of bits of information is being processed by the brain. Now, when we can take consciousness, self-awareness, and move it away from the body, the environment, and time, we no longer have to live by the laws of the body, the environment, and time. And when we're able to do that, we begin to open the door to walk into the quantum field. So then the first step to change is becoming conscious of those unconscious states of mind and body. Most people don't like to do this. Everybody knows this, that you keep switching on that system for an extended period of time and you live by the arousal of fear, the arousal of pain, the arousal of suffering, the arousal of aggression. It takes energy to activate those late systems. And when we do that, our immune system is compromised. The energy that's mobilized for emergency, for the threat in the outer environment, compromises the energy in our inner environment, and we are then more susceptible to the conditions in our outer environment. And as Greg said, you have to look at to see what keeps you in balance. And stress and living in survival is when you're not that balanced, not that homeostasis. We can tolerate that short term, but if you keep exposing yourself to the same stimulation or you have the thought of some worst case scenario in your mind, you're actually knocking your brain and body out of balance by thought alone. It was just really this element. And so then I was able to figure out that there were 4 common things. And then I wrote a book about it. And then I thought, God, if this works, really on people that were sick and are better, and they come from all walks of life, all colors, all races, all genders, for sexual preferences, but all of a sudden, I wanted to see if I was able to reproduce it. So then I started seeing, okay, let's see if we can teach this be able to reproduce the outcome, because that's science, right? The first one was that they all believed and accepted that there was an intelligence that lived within them that was giving them life. These are these people you interviewed who had had injuries that overcame. No, these are people where with cancer, MS, Lucas Parkinson's disease got better. Yeah, just spontaneously, it's called a spontaneous for you. So I believe there was an intelligence, there was some invisible life force they were connected to that. They felt like they had lost their connection to, they became separate and disconnected from, and that when they got the diagnosis, they woke up and said, man, I got to connect again, and I got to connect to my essence. And so they developed a relationship with it, just like you develop a relationship with anybody. It takes time. You got to be present. You got to connect. You got to experience. You got to be present. All of these things are important elements. So that was the first thing. The second thing was that they realized that it was the mismanagement of their emotions and the hormones of stress that really began to create their condition. Now stress is when your brain and body are knocked out of balance. The stress is when your body's not that of homeostasis. We have an innate mechanism in our body that returns us back to order. So then if someone cuts you off on the LA freeway, you have an emotional reaction. But 15 minutes later, you're back to driving and you're over it, right? That's all organisms in nature can tolerate, short-term stress. But when it's all day long, all week, all year, so if you're reacting to like a Tyrannosaurus Rex is chasing you, you have to make a decision. Am I going to use 20% of my energy? I'm going to use 100%. So it turns out when you're reacting to traffic, 200%. All right? Or if you're reacting to your coworker sitting in the cubicle next to you, you're turning on that response. And what was once very adaptive becomes very maladaptive, because when you turn on the stress response and you can't turn it off now, you're headed for disease, because nobody can live in emergency mode for that extended period of time. Well, human beings, we can turn on the stress response just by thought alone. You can think about your problems and you're producing the same biological effects. So those chemicals give the brain and body a rush of energy, and people become addicted to that rush of energy. So now they use the problems and conditions in their life to reaffirm their addiction to that emotion. They need the bad job. They need the poor relationship. So that means they become addicted to the life that they don't even like. Why do we need the bad job or bad relationship and stay stuck? Because it's a conditioned response. So listen, if you get angry at a coworker and all of a sudden you get an arousal in your brain and body, right? You get a rush of energy. When you start noticing that your body starts dropping, your brain starts noticing your energy starts dropping, you're automatically going to have the image of the coworker in order to give your body the next the jolt, right? So all of a sudden people become addicted to their own thoughts, right? So these people realize that, oh my God, I've been mismanaging my attention and energy, and I got it. I got to get beyond my past. I got to get beyond these emotions. I got to make some big changes. I got to break the habit of being myself. I got to stop being this person now. That sounds really good theoretically and philosophically, but change is such a hard thing. All right, because the moment you come back to your senses and you step back into your life and you see that person, where you go to that place or you're with that experience, so many people are unconsciously reacting in their thoughts and feelings to everything in their environment. So now their environment is controlling how they think and feel. So they realize that in order to change, it'll change the environment. They got to be greater than their environment, greater than the conditions in the world, in the circumstances. Be mindful of that. Every time they come up to be like, yeah, I'm gonna think differently, right? I'm not gonna react. Yeah, right. I'm not gonna go back, because the moment you start reacting,